The sun hasn't quite risen yet. I am sitting in the small, quiet corner of my kitchen, holding a warm cup of tea between my palms. Outside, the world is still painted in shades of deep blue and gray. I can hear the soft, steady rhythm of the rain tapping against the window pane, a gentle whisper that usually brings me peace. But today, the silence feels heavy. I look down at my phone, the screen glowing cold and bright in the darkness. I see photos of people traveling, people celebrating big milestones, people who seem to have figured everything out. And then there is me. I feel a familiar ache in my chest, a quiet question that often keeps me awake. What am I doing? Why did I wake up today? If you have ever felt this way, like you are just going through the motions, drifting through a sea of busy days without a compass, I want you to know that I am right there with you. My name is Elena, and I have spent a long time searching for a reason to smile when I open my eyes in the morning. I used to think that happiness was a destination, a golden city I would reach once I worked hard enough or became successful enough. But the more I ran toward that city, the further away it seemed to be. It was only when I stopped running and began to listen to the quiet wisdom of a small village in Japan that I discovered the secret of Ikigai. In the book Ikigai, The Japanese Secret to a Long and Happy Life, Héctor García and Francesc Miralles take us to Okinawa, where people live longer and happier lives than almost anywhere else on Earth. They don't have a word for retirement because they never stop doing what they love. They have an Ikigai, a reason for being. As I sat in my quiet kitchen, reflecting on their stories, I realized that my own life was missing that spark. I was alive, but I wasn't truly living. So, I decided to go on a journey within myself to find my own reason to wake up. The first thing I had to learn was that Ikigai isn't something grand or distant. It is hidden in the small, everyday moments that we often overlook. I remembered a morning not too long ago when I was feeling particularly lost, overwhelmed by the pressure of social media and the constant noise of modern life. I decided to put away my phone and just watch the steam rising from my tea. I noticed the way the light caught the water droplets on the window. In that moment of stillness, I felt a tiny spark of joy. It wasn't because I had achieved anything great. It was simply because I was present. I realized that the first step to a joyful life is to find flow in the small things. Whether you are cooking a meal, walking in the park, or even just washing the dishes, when you give your full attention to the task, the noise of the world fades away. This state of being completely involved in an activity is what the authors call flow. It is a state where time seems to vanish, and you are at one with what you are doing. I began to ask myself, what are the small things that make me forget about the clock? For some, it is gardening. For others, it is writing or simply listening to a friend. When we are in flow, we are not worried about the past or the future. We are simply being. I realized that my Ikigai was not waiting for me in the future. It was waiting for me in the quality of my attention right now. Moving forward, I discovered that my Ikigai was also tied to my body and how I cared for it. I used to treat my body like a machine, something to be pushed and pressured to perform, often staying up late to work on projects that I hoped would bring success. But in the village of Ogimi, the elders treat their bodies with a gentle, consistent love. They don't run marathons. They walk, they garden, and they move with grace. They follow a beautiful rule called Hara Hachi Bu, which means eating until you are only 80% full. I started to reflect on how often I rushed through my meals while looking at my emails, never truly tasting the food. I began to practice being mindful of my nourishment. Mindful is a word that describes being deeply aware and attentive to the present moment. By slowing down my pace, I found that I had more energy to pursue the things I loved. I realized that a joyful life requires a temple that is respected, not just a tool that is used. It is about active longevity, the idea that we stay young, not by resting, but by moving with purpose. When we care for our health, we are not just adding years to our life, we are adding life to our years. As the days turned into weeks, I encountered a deeper struggle. I felt like I had to be the best at everything I did. If I wasn't the most successful storyteller, or if my videos didn't get thousands of views immediately, I felt like I was failing. But then, I stumbled upon the Japanese concept of wabi-sabi. It is the beauty of things that are imperfect, impermanent, and incomplete. I looked at my old, chipped teacup, the one I had used every morning for years. It wasn't perfect, but it had a history. It had character. I realized that my own journey didn't need to be perfect to be meaningful. My mistakes, the days when I felt I was falling behind, and my moments of doubt were all part of the beautiful, imperfect tapestry of my life. This realization felt like a heavy weight being lifted off my shoulders. I didn't need to be a masterpiece. I just needed to be authentic. When we stop chasing perfection, we find the freedom to truly create. We learn that resilience is not about never falling, but about how we focus on our objective without letting the ego get in the way. Continuing on my path, I realized that I couldn't find my Ikigai in isolation. The people of Okinawa thrive because of their moai, a close-knit group of friends who support each other through everything. I had spent so much time trying to be strong on my own, thinking that I had to carry my burdens in silence, especially when I saw my channel's growth slow down. But as I began to share my vulnerabilities with you, I felt a connection I had never known before. I realized that part of my reason for being was to be a bridge for others. We are not meant to walk this path alone. When we share our stories, we realize that our struggles are universal. I began to see that my Ikigai was found at the intersection of what I love and what the world needs. By telling these stories, I wasn't just helping myself. I was creating a moai with all of you. Community is the social glue that keeps us happy and healthy. It is about knowing that someone has your back and you have theirs. Finally, I discovered the most important lesson of all. Ikigai is a journey, not a destination. It changes as we change. Some days, my Ikigai is the excitement of a new project. Other days, it is simply the comfort of a warm blanket and a good book. There is no pressure to find one single permanent purpose. As the authors of the book remind us, everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. I realize that I have the power to choose my reason to wake up every single day. Even on the mornings when the resistance feels strong and I want to stay in bed, I can choose to find a small sliver of light to follow. I learned that being busy is not the same as being on purpose. True Ikigai is found in the quiet persistence of doing what you love, even when the world isn't watching. It is about the anti-fragility of the soul, the ability to get stronger when faced with challenges and uncertainty. This journey has taught me so much about my own soul. It taught me that my inner voice isn't a loud, demanding commander. It is a quiet, persistent whisper that speaks through the things that make my heart beat a little faster. It speaks through the peace I feel when I am helpful, the joy I find in a well-told story, and the connection I feel when I realize we are all searching for the same thing. I learned that I don't need to have all the answers. I just need to keep showing up, keep being curious, and keep listening to the quiet rhythm of my own life. I learned to follow my curiosities rather than my passions. Passions can feel heavy and demanding, but curiosity is light and playful. It leads us down paths we never expected. For me, that path led me here, to this moment, talking to you. I realized that my Ikigai is not a job title or a number on a screen. It is the feeling of alignment when my actions match my values. Let us reflect together on what we have discovered today. We found that joy lives in the flow of small moments. We learned to treat our bodies with the kindness of hara-hachi-bu. We embrace the beauty of our own wabi-sabi imperfections. We recognize the vital importance of our moai, our community and connection. And most importantly, we learn that our Ikigai is something we choose and nurture every day. We learned that to stay young, we must stay active, stay connected, and never stop learning. The darkness outside my window is starting to fade now. The sky is turning a soft, pale pink, and the first birds are beginning to sing. The tea in my cup is finished, but the warmth remains in my heart. I no longer feel the heavy weight of the why. I know that today, my reason for being is simply to be here, to share this moment with you, and to take the next small step forward. You don't need a grand plan to have a joyful life. You just need to find that one small thing that makes you want to greet the day. Maybe it's the way the light hits the floor, the sound of your favorite music, or the chance to learn something new. Trust the process of your own unfolding. Your Ikigai is already within you, like a seed waiting for the right moment to bloom. You don't have to force it, you just have to create the space for it to grow. Be patient with yourself. Be kind to your journey. And remember, the most important moment of your life is the one you are in right now. If this story touched you, share your own journey in the comments. Subscribe to Inner Voice English for more calm stories to heal your soul. My name is Elena, and I am so grateful to be walking this path with you. Stay peaceful, stay curious, and find your own light today.